Greetings. I put in the description a few verses, Messiah's words on being first. What is it to be first? To want to be first, desire to be first, shall be last, like we read elsewhere. And whoever desires to be first will be slave to all. But Messiah didn't come to do that. And he gives an example of the Gentiles, the unbelievers, the sinners, those that don't believe, those that are of the enemy. They lord it, they bail it, they rule it over people. That's their heart's desire and intention, to be great in this world, in and of this world. That's what they want with their heart. That's their intention. That's their spiritual desire. That's their goal in their heart, in their mind, to be great in and of this world. Because whoever's great in this world is of the wicked one. How could someone be of the Father and of the true Messiah and be loved by many and become great in this world? Because there's not many in this world. How could they be loved by many of this world? It's an utter spiritual proof. It's an utter spiritual thing to see that cannot be so, because they'll be hated by this world, because the world cannot see him and cannot know him. They cannot hear him. We read that. This world cannot see him or know him or hear him. Whatever this world is, which is many, will never see him or know him in this age until the end. That's going to be true. And those that rise up in this world are of the enemy and have that heart's desire for money, fame, riches, their drive, their intentions from the heart that moves them to do whatever they're doing, their cover, their image that they sell. They sell that image so they can do their heart's desire, which is fame, riches, worship, money, being first and great. Because this is YOLO time for unbelievers. They don't believe in anything in reality, in their heart. They cannot believe in anything to come. And it requires actual belief to be able to do the Father's works and become what we need to become. And it makes sense also, because all his truth makes sense and is orderly and logical and clear and simple when it's given. It shall not be so among you, Messiah says, among his disciples, all believers. That's who his disciples are. All his people, it shall not be so for them. They shall not rise up and rule over people like that, because Messiah didn't do that. He came to serve, not be served, like we read. Man despises this spiritual reality of serving, despises that with all his heart. Inside, secretly, he does it. Everyone that's not of the Father already despises doing that, because pride and being a beast is the exact opposite spiritual thing of that. It's selfish, it's a beast, it stomps, it controls, it rules over, and gets angry at people that don't want to submit to it, but they themselves don't want to submit to people and want to be the ruler. Then it gets angry at the people that say, you just want to rule over people. And they themselves do the exact same thing and end up being hypocrites the rest of their life, never seeing, never believing, never repenting of their sin. And some are in such a deep destruction, the death within, that they seek death and it flees from them. They don't have the ability or guts to kill themselves. That's the judgment in Revelation for those that it's given to. It's not applying to every single person, because the Father judges people many different ways. His judgments are like past finding out, so many different judgments. And because of some kind of judgment that the Father knows, those that take their life because of destruction, for whatever reason the Father knows, death did not flee from them. And when he doesn't make it flee, it chases them and they do it and take it. And they do a Judas suicide. But for others in and of the world, it flees from them and they're not able to do that. It's not their will. They're not in control. And when people condemn someone Say coward, wicked, loser. Doesn't he know that family loves him? They make this wicked judgment from their throne, not understanding the judgments at all, not understanding anything, zero. And they speak out of fear and cowardly fear, pointing the finger because it doesn't like what it sees. It's afraid of what it sees. What it sees offends them greatly, and they need to be disgusted at what offends them so that they hide that that's what they are themselves, in the same exact spiritual death, the same exact thing. So when they see a poor person on the street, they're spiritually poor, and they look and watch themselves. So now that you need to condemn and judge them, get a job, do this or that, loser, wicked. But if they were that person on the street, just full-blown hypocrisy. That's all it is. And sin's being done everywhere from all sides. Sin, unbelieving man just sins constantly. There's none good. There's none righteous. There's no one good. There's no one that does the Father's will or seeks him in the heart. It takes a gift. It takes a miracle to receive his Spirit, and someone that has his Spirit can now seek the Father. Without his Spirit, they never did, never will, and never could. And that's what religion doesn't believe at all. It despises this actual truth in reality. When you break through the damnable cover and delusion, it despises this truth that nobody chooses the Father from themselves, because it's an abomination for those that can see. The carnal, wicked man would never choose the Creator, choose life, choose good. He's not able to. It's the Father's mercy alone and his choosing ultimately. But now those that believe need to check themselves to make sure their calling is true. We read that, and because we read that, that's true. That's what they have to do. That's what believers will do. They can't just say I'm saved because of doctrine that they agree to in the church world and some statement of faith that they agree to, and now they're saved. It has nothing to do with actual reality at all, zero. How is it that all mankind's doing this? It just makes me marvel every day. It makes me stunned every single day. It's people are talking about a delusion. It's not real. They're talking about the Mickey Mouse cover and images. I would never do that to that person, says someone. Right, when eyes are watching you, when the camera's listening or the speakers are listening, when people see, you would never do that in a delusion, because that would make your image look bad. It has nothing to do with not doing what that means in the heart, and doing evil in the heart, and having hatred and murder in the heart. It has nothing to do with real things ever, at any point. You know, and this thing can be seen everywhere. It can be seen in entertainment, Hollywood, sports, day-to-day people everywhere. This delusion, this damnable image of the beast that people are selling, so that the other person buys the image, meaning they believe it in their heart. They buy the image that someone's selling to hide their sins. That's why they have to sell the image. And that's all that people care about. And it happened again. You know, as I was invited, family, small little family gathering, of course, Thanksgiving is their day. I did show up, although I don't know any better what to do. You know, I just leave it up to the Father, but I didn't want to celebrate. I didn't celebrate it in my heart. But I came for just to be there, even though it's like, it's so contradicting. They don't even want me there. You know, I know that. I already see that. They don't care. They would look bad if they didn't invite me. And so someone is in slavery. They have to invite you, because that would make them look bad if they didn't, wouldn't it? What kind of slavery is that? Is that love, to only invite someone because you would look bad if you didn't? Who believes that we can see these things, that that's what people are doing? That's a spiritual reality. Someone's painting an image. So then they would say, how dare you say that? We would never do that. We didn't do that. They could do that about all sin, because they got the outwardly image that all this world sees. And that image counts for the reality. Therefore, all sin can be done like this by unbelievers, where they say, How dare you say that? We don't do that. And that's what they do with all sin, all of it. Because spiritual things are the thoughts and intentions, the invisible things in our heart, why someone does what they do. There's a way to look good for every single evil. There's a way to look good doing it. Therefore, when someone makes an image that looks good, it's good, even though it was done. The only reason that image existed so they can do the evil. And they think that there's not a few that can see this. They already assume and want desperately everyone to be as blind as they are, and already put that you're blind and you're a fool and blinded and not healed at all, just like everyone else. They already dumped that on you. They already assume that and need that to be true. They don't just want that to be true, they need it to be true, lest they be exposed. So it's a sick world. Everything that's done is fake, and everything that's said is fake. Nothing's real. And someone can say, we pray that he be made in God's image. And if you were to question that with seriousness, there would already be feathers ruffled up. They wouldn't know what to do. They would think you're trying to make me look bad when we're actually questioning something. And, I'm just giving an example. That didn't happen specifically at the little gathering, family gathering. The only family that we have are those that do the will of the Father, because blood doesn't mean anything unless they do the will of the Father. That's the spiritual, real family. Those that are of the serpent seed are not our family, even if they're of blood family. Cain kills Abel. It doesn't mean anything. That's only good if they're spiritually a brother, which there is no male or female in the kingdom. So brother, sister, it doesn't matter. That's only good if they're an actual brother, speaking of the Creator's truth, because you could be a brother and it means nothing, because that's the lower carnal thing that doesn't prove anything by itself ever. Messiah's brothers. Does the Father lie? Or do the wicked say that Messiah didn't actually have brothers? The Father's playing the same game that they are. And his word plays the same game that they do themselves. That's why it doesn't look bad to them. It's no sin to them, because they play that twisted game with words and trickery and assuming invisible things on people so that they can say something. When in reality, it was through a justification. It was like a circuit going through lies. They think that actually works with the Father, that there's not a judgment for that. There's not a blinding for that. There's not a death for that. The Father's lying and saying Messiah has brothers, but they're not actually brothers. They're only brothers in a delusion through twisting of words like we do all day long, right? They don't actually believe Messiah had brothers in the church world. How could they? When he comes from the physical seed of God. It's disgusting. And when it says Joseph's his father and Mary's his mother, they're not his parents. Also reading parents. All these words exist in his word. Parents, brothers, mother, father. All of them. And none of it's real. In reality, they don't believe that in their heart. They only make it look like they believe that through a delusion. If you were to question it and go deeper and go through the delusion, they don't believe Messiah is a man that came in the flesh. He came from the seed of God, physical seed from above. And this is the damnable lie. This is the anti-Messiah spirit already, automatically. None of his people believe that the Messiah came from the physical seed of God, this pagan thing that always existed, that they've always believed in, that the Trinity thing going before Christianity already existed, coming from the seed of God, and God's having sex, and it's always some kind of perversion, and then having a son. They don't even want to look into it. And Trinitarians and all these people, they don't even go there. That their religion is just a different Trinity cover with different names. It's the same pagan gods with Jesus, and God is God, and the Holy Spirit, a different God, when they already had these three pagan things with some son long before Christianity. It's literally the same pagan thing because it's of the devil. They don't believe Messiah came in the flesh, according to the flesh. They don't believe he's actually the literal seed of David. That's how you have to talk when there's delusion to break through. They can only say we believe he's the seed of David because they read and agree with their own words and say, no, I said I believe he's in the seed of David. And because someone says that, that's true. That means they believe it. Because they said certain words, that means that they believe it. It's like a child. It means nothing. In reality, they don't and cannot believe he's actually the seed of David. Because for all of them, that seed came from the Creator and not man. Yeah, it's a big deal. All those that are of the anti-Messiah spirit, like we read in John somewhere, 1 John 2nd, 3rd, wherever it is, these are of the anti-Messiah spirit. And there's many. They don't believe he came in the flesh. They absolutely do not believe that in their heart because they're of the devil, who cannot believe actual truth, cannot believe the spiritual things and spiritual truth. The devil can never believe what's actually real. He has to make an image that makes it look like he believes what's real, and it's not real. So then someone can look like they believe something is true because they created an image that's not real, just so they can look like they believe what's true. But in their heart, they don't believe it at all. And this is why there's a bitter resisting. This is why there's a spiritual attachment to Kundalini devil spirit, the seed that came from literal seed of God from above, and not from Abraham and not from David. They're attached to the devil. Spiritually, it's a worship and it's real. And they can't back off that doctrine because of that reality, that spiritual reality of being one with the devil, and that there's literal spiritual connection and worship with it. They're one with the holidays, and there's spiritual worship and connection with the devil's holidays. But what will people do to make it look like we're fools? What will they make it look like so that they look good? I don't bow down before a Christmas tree and put my hands folded and say, this tree is my God. That's what they'll say to get around the fact that they do that with their heart. Yeah, that tree's your God, and in their heart, that material thing is way above the Creator, because we read not to have anything above the Father. So the mankind, in reality, all he can do is have anything and everything above the Father. It's already true. Why can't they acknowledge that? Why do they act like the man already does? Because the devil paints an image that makes the Father look like a liar. All mankind already breaks all his commandments, all of them, in the heart. But he creates an image that makes that look like a lie and makes mankind look like he keeps all of it from his youth, when he never did at any point. It's sick. And these same false prophets, I guess, to make the connection, they want to be first. They want to be great. Well, they got their reward. This is it. Delusion is reward. Worship from people, money, sex, drugs, every worldly thing that they love and seek with their heart. That's why they do what they do. Use religion as a business or whatever, just a damnable cover to cover their sins, so they can get these worldly gains and get worship above all. And wherever there's worship by many, there's power. And wherever there's power, there's always money to come. Someone gets enough worship and praise by man, the money will come. So these two things are one and can't be separated. So man knows that if he gets worship and praise and fame, the money will come. There's no such thing as being famous in the devil's world and not getting some kind of money out of it, some kind of carnal gain. And these false prophets will even jump and church hop so that they get a bigger, fatter paycheck for what they do. When that's your intention, when you got money coming in for what you do, that's an utter spiritual corruption. They never do good. They only do it for money. And then they'll say, no, I don't, when they get money for doing what they do. Utterly blind and stupid, can't see anything. They're blind. And they'll put that blinding on someone else and not judge righteously because they're blind. If they're blind and love money, now they need to show that you do, because they need to dump their sins, their heavy laden sin, onto someone else because it's weighing them down. They think they can just dump it on someone. And you can never do that. You have to bear it. You have to go through it. But in delusion, mankind thinks he can dump his sin on someone. He's always doing those works because he's full of sin. So he's always doing those works thinking that it works, and it never does. It's pretty stupid. Someone swerves out of the way. Here's an example that happened in real life to me. And just as an example, it's the wickedness inside the heart, not the swerving of a truck. Where it's a pretty wide road, there's cars parked on either side, left and right. And far away from the truck, I slowly move over to the right to give plenty of room. And I'm over to the right already, long before the truck passes by. That truck instantly had snakes go off in its mind. And it jerks the truck after it passes. I look, and it floors the truck, this like diesel or whatever it was. It sounded like a diesel, if I could remember right. He floors it. The engine's raging as they pass by in the 25, 30 mile per hour zone. And then the truck viciously jerks over into the wrong lane and almost hits the cars that are parked on the wrong side he's jerking to, and jerks it back to the right side, dumping that sin on me as if I actually did that when that never even remotely happened. I was way over to the right, plenty of room, but the devil went off, and the devil said, "Go do it, son. Go screw him." And whatever they dump on you, they themselves are doing right in that moment. They jerked. They did the wicked thing with their heart. And in reality, it manifested as they jerked like an insane person for no reason, all the way to the left, and almost hit the cars, and jerks back while flooring it for no reason. No other traffic, nothing going on, just snakes going off, the devil going off in somebody's mind and heart. Because in that moment, the devil said, "Screw him." And then the little weak man that thinks he's God and prideful and extraordinarily insecure while needing to masquerade that he's secure fills up with rage for reasons they don't even understand. Randomly, never seeing someone ever in their life, driving, and they fill up with rage and need to do this thing and make it look like you did that when they did that. And if someone were to say what happened, what they did, they would say you did it, even though it never happened and they did it. That's the foolishness and pride of mankind. And he does works like that every single day. That's not of the Father. And then they think they're good. Just that one wicked work that's not repented of, someone's never going to inherit the kingdom and enter the kingdom now. Just one vicious, evil work like that that's never acknowledged. The sins just keep piling up, and they end up dying like the beasts they are in their sins. Praise the Creator for death, because mankind deserves it for his wickedness. This squirmy little worm that thinks he's king and God. He has a crown on his head that's 10 feet wide and 10 feet tall, on top of a worm. That's how much bigger he thinks than he is. Walking on rubies, walking on jaspers and stones in heaven, through pride, thinking he's a king and God in his own mind at all times. And whatever he does is right, and whatever he judges is right. And he never takes it back in his heart, because a fool cannot be corrected, like I read. They never are corrected in the heart. Not an image, because the Creator's not a carnal, stupid, blind man. In the heart, a fool is never corrected, never was, never will be, even once. But with an image, all day long images are created where it looks like someone's being corrected, looks like they're saying sorry. If someone can see with spiritual eyes, they would see that mankind finds a loop in their mind and heart, a justification to go around the real thing, to make it look like they did it, and they never did. They went around a problem in their heart. They never did that, and then the image they create, everyone throws up their hands and worships and believes the stupid, damnable image. That's how childish mankind is. It's how ungodly and wicked he is. He's like a little 5-year-old running kingdoms, going around having orgies, not even realizing what the heck they're doing. It's why it's always a laughable joke to them. It's like a never-ending joke when they talk about sexual things and perversion. It's very funny to the kid that doesn't know what he's doing. It's like a little kid doing evil, and then he gets caught, and he's just laughing because he's pouring out the foolishness and folly of himself. by laughing. The folly's being poured out of them. That's why they're laughing, because they're guilty, because they're caught. And the Creator always sees the evil they do. And they smirk, the devil smirk knowing that they're evil. And then the people that call people faggots all the time, they themselves are spiritually. Whatever they accuse, they are perfectly in that moment. Whatever they judge, they themselves are. And that blinding is so big, it's like a log in someone's eye. The hypocrisy is so big, it's desperately going around, hunting, sniffing like a dog that it is, sniffing for a little splinter in someone. Ooh, do you eat chocolate? Oh, gotcha. While it does actual wickedness constantly with its heart and never agrees, never sees, never acknowledges all these wicked sins it does in its heart. And this blinding so severe, Messiah teaches that it's like a log in your eye trying to take a splinter out. Someone with a log in their eye never took a splinter out of someone's eye. It never happened and it never will. It never happened and never will, because they're utterly blind. How can someone with a log in their eye take a splinter out of someone else's eye? But remove the log. Then you can see clearly, like our Messiah says, out of truth and love and care. Then you can see clearly to take the splinter out of your brother's eye. What's man already doing spiritually? Without the Father, what's he already doing and always has been doing? He's walking around with a log in his eye, a massive hypocrite. And then the newscasters and broadcasters, and then the entertainment divisions, and everyone just pointing fingers viciously, attacking, thinking that they're right, they're God. I believe in coexist. I believe in this. I believe in that. I got 20 bumper stickers. I'm God. I'm right. Accusing and condemning in their heart, which they would all deny that they do. Every single devil cannot acknowledge its real sin that it does. Never happened, never will. Never acknowledges a single sin in the heart until that mercy comes on someone. They can't. It's a spiritual law. It's a spiritual reality. A devil cannot do good from its heart. It cannot care about truth or have any actual love. It only pretends to. Creates the image that the devil taught everyone how to do. That's what it does. And this man, this carnal man, so nasty, he more than deserves to die. He needs to die because it's wicked. There's nothing good in him at all. Zero. Nothing good at all. His intentions and thoughts of the heart are continually evil. Only evil continually, like I read in Genesis, that everyone ignores. That no false prophet ever even mentions. They just stay away from it, let alone speak on what it means. Because their heart is evil continually. Its thoughts and intent of the heart is only evil continually. A devil might want to stay away from exposing itself. And so their intention and their works are to do things to make sure they don't expose themselves, which is a deceiver and a liar 24/7, just for doing that. And when you project an image that you want people to see you as, that's a liar and a deceiver every second they breathe. They want you to believe a lie, the image that they sell. That's a lying deceiver every single second. Even while they're sleeping, they're lying and are deceivers. Even in their sleep, they do evil. Because at no point ever is that repented of and ever acknowledged. It's always there. And people buy these damnable, blasphemous images in the temple, in the person. These images exist, and they project them, and they buy them, and they sell them. And the saints can't be doing that. That's why we read it. And whoever his people are, they can't be doing that, because the Father's works don't do that. He knows who his people are. They don't sell damnable images. You see what you get, and that's it. You don't like it, which you won't. If it's an unbeliever, they cannot love a believer. Too bad. Go away like I read, like they read. Make my enemies flee from me. All of a sudden, those scriptures are wicked to them, aren't they? All of a sudden, that stings them when it's used properly. In reality, go away from me, enemies. All of a sudden, they never believe that scripture. They despise it viciously. What that scripture means, they think is wicked, evil, and murder, when it's actually being set apart, when that is the perfect thing, when that's believers obeying the command on what it means. This world sees that, real thing and calls it wicked. And that's how it is for all his word. It's just a matter of seeing why it looks like they believe a certain scripture. They don't, because they created an image. They created and projected an image that makes it look like something. That's how they can look like they believe certain scriptures, and they never did. When it comes to reality and when it comes to be applied in reality, they despise it. When faith comes to have faith and when it's pressured, they despise it and never had faith. They only talk about it in a delusion in the comfort of the building when there is no faith needed at all. When there's no actual pressure. But when there is and they don't have it, that's when devils need to stay quiet. We rejoice when I win and make the shot and won the game. But if it's my fault and I lost the game, shh, I don't tell anyone about my BMW, that all 4 window motors broke, that my tranny went out, that my engine has problems. I don't tell anyone about all the parts I bought and replaced on my BMW. I only talk about things that make me look good and hide like a coward when they make me look bad. And this is what man does with everything in his heart. He's a little coward, sick and diseased. Then they say they're your friend, and then they do nothing but evil and go, what's wrong? What's wrong? Always dumping their cowardly little sins on you constantly. So incredibly blind, they are snakes manifested in the flesh. You want to see a snake? It's an unbeliever. That's it. A false prophet, a leader in religion, it's more of a snake than the people it deceives, doing more evil than they are. The devil manifested in the flesh is humanity because the devil's in them. To be a devil is to always look good and try to look good. It's always a messenger of light for an image. And this light is called the so-called light. What if the light in you? What if that light is actually darkness? How great that darkness Messiah teaches. Because that light, to be understood spiritually, was never the actual light. It's through this understanding that it's a so-called light and it's mocked because it's not the real light. It's evil. It's just an image projected. It's a fake light. What is it? Doesn't the devil teach that through entertainment, that he's not a horned devil with like 2 horns and a pitchfork, that he comes as a messenger of light? Yes, I've seen that. They teach that in Hollywood. Truth in plain sight. The monsters in this world are those that look bad, which is those that rape, those that literally murder and get caught. If you don't get caught, no big deal in man's mind, because no one saw the image being broken. If you get caught, that looks bad. Those monsters go to jail and the world takes them and throws them in prison. And then the cops and defectives believe they're good because they throw those people in prison. How often do movies show that they're in as much or more destruction than the people it throws in prison? That they got all the same problems, all the same drugs, all the same sexual immorality and adultery and cheating on wife and divorce and separated from the kids. How often do they show that? That these people are no better at all, zero, than the people they put in prison. If anything, they're worse so often, because they believe their pride is even higher than the guy in prison, because they believe that what they do, throw bad guys in prison, makes them good, and their pride's even higher than the guy in prison, which is a greater sin, which to the Creator is even more evil. To the Father who sees what pride is, it's even more evil. You start giving up on expecting anything from anyone, because no one can be trusted. No one. Zero. And so far, throughout all the years, virtually all, I mean, the percentage rate is 99.99999 in my life, that they went away and they were an enemy all along. The odds that someone's not my enemy is extraordinarily slim. And it's very difficult to believe that someone's not. They need to be tested and proved just like everyone does. But of course, this actual proving and testing is evil to those that are evil. How dare you not believe my image? How dare you not believe that I'm good? Do you want me to sin? Then they blow up. Do you read, test, and prove all things? Doesn't that include not automatically believing what someone says, that they're your friend and buddy, and you don't automatically believe that? You have to test it and prove all things, and they have to do the same, but they don't believe or care about that. When someone's doing evil on purpose, that's not what's in their mind, to test and prove and do good. Evil's on their mind, that's it. How am I going to attack? How am I going to revenge? How am I going to play games and trickery? They call it games too in entertainment. The evil people do. They call games, because the devil pours out the Father's truth through the darkness, that to the wicked man, evil is sport to him. It's like playing a game. It's no different. In a game, you always need to win. Only the winners are the crowned ones, and the losers are the losers. They're the worthless nobodies, and nobody wants to be attached to an image that's a loser. So if a team is losing, I'll just switch over to the one that wins more often. I'm God. Because they can never have an image that looks bad. That's a losing image. And with all things in life, that's constantly happening in someone's heart. In reality, Messiah's people are the losers and dung of this world. They can't live that life. They have to be winners and great to the best of their ability. With their so-called free will they think they have. They have to be winners all the time. They have to look good. They have to be commended by many. When in reality, this world hates Messiah's people. You can't be commended by any of them. It's only going to be hatred, murder, despising secretly in their own slavery, just inviting you because if they don't, that makes them look bad. They don't want you there. I'm talking about spiritual facts and reality, not the damnable images people create. Because even blood families will create this image, and that's what they see. So if we say something that's like perfectly opposite of the image that they created, that's wicked towards them. How dare you say that I'm that bad? That makes me look bad. They only care about looks. That's it. They don't care about actual evil. They don't care about actual love. They don't care about actual care. They don't have it. And anyone that doesn't have it isn't already in a strong delusion, because anyone who doesn't love truth is already in a delusion, sent a strong delusion. And the more the Father gives to see the delusion, it is insane. It is literally insane every single day. You start seeing the delusion in people and watching it, and just there's nothing you can do. You just stay away from it. If someone's led to say something, then they say something, but otherwise you have to stay away from it and be set apart, because they're just going to want to butcher you. That's what it looks like on the outside. What they want to do inside is butcher you with a butcher knife. Everything that entertainment pours out is what happens all the time, that man can't do and come up with something. He can't imagine something that's different than what is in actual reality. That's the only reality he knows. Someone goes, man, does this happen in real life? It happens every day with everyone spiritually. And it happens even literally here and there, what they show in movies. But spiritually, that thing, that image that someone sees is happening in someone's heart constantly. That's the very thing they can't see. And sin goes both ways. Each one unable to acknowledge them. A killer needs to set up someone else to look like the murderer, because they're cowards. Because they're weak, little tiny worms and cowards. It can't face reality. But when it's got a gun, it's real strong. Let me pull the trigger and get rid of this guy. I'm strong. But then that person gets taken down, and now the other guy has a gun. And now he's whimpering and begging for his worthless life. Each one doing the exact same wickedness. It's pathetic. And I'm not afraid to say it. It's wicked and pathetic. It's cowardly. Fearful and cowardly in the worst way possible. Actual cowardness and fear. The fear and cowardness we read in Revelation. This is the cowardly fear, the wicked, through the darkness, cowardly fear that the Creator speaks of. All of them need to go through the lake of fire, because they never overcame this cowardly fear. They always had to look strong by having a gun and a knife by their side. Now you're real strong. Creating images that make you look strong to cover that you're a weak coward, to cover that mankind, the sinner, is a weak coward that can never face reality. He needs to pretend he's dead to save his soul. He needs to stage a murder. How often is that shown in movies? And set someone up to look like a murderer because they can't go and say, I'm a murderer. That looks bad. They're in slavery. And the Creator's will gets done anyways. His purpose gets fulfilled perfectly while someone believes they're God and have free will. What must be done and will be done before they were even born gets done while they think they're God and do all these stupid things. His will is done perfectly anyways. There's nothing man can do. He can wait 10 seconds before he backs up and the car will be there. If he waits 15 seconds, it'll be there. If he waits 5 seconds, he'll be there. There's nothing he can do to get outside of the creation that he's in, but he wants to so badly, so he lives in a delusion. And now they got pet rocks that I have been notified of through Thanksgiving, of which no one was thankful for anything. They're just pretending. They love money and love the world. How does someone that does that in their heart are actually thankful? No, they're not. They just make it look like they are. And they got pet rocks that come with things and names and stuff that you treat like a living person. It's like a pet rock you could buy. It's insane. I couldn't believe it. It was blowing my mind. Still does. It always will. If someone's so desperately wicked and in delusion and wants money in a crazy, chaotic world where the strong survive and it's a dog-eat-dog world. Yes, it is. You have to now go in such a strong delusion to sell a pet rock to get your little niche, whatever you want to say. Pet rocks. What kind of reality is this? Pet rocks. Now, someone that doesn't sell pet rocks, does that make him good? No. Does that prove something? No. Does someone that sell pet rocks prove something? Well, yeah, it does. But the other way, it never proves anything by itself. Because it takes a crooked, deceitful, wicked heart to sell pet rocks. That's a discernment. But because if someone doesn't, that doesn't automatically make them good. Doesn't mean they're a believer, because the flesh profits nothing and doesn't prove anything by itself at any point, at any time. And it's pretty evident to me that mankind can't see that, can't care about that, because to be carnal is only seeing physical things with your eyes and possessions. And the only way for a carnal man to be self-righteous is through those possessions, meaning what he does physically makes him good. If you take that away from him, he goes nuts, because that's the only things that can make him good. Because of what I do physically, that's what makes me good, says the carnal man. Then they read and say they believe in the Bible or something in church, and they read the flesh profits nothing, my words are spirit, and they shit on it. They don't care what that means. They don't want to hear it. It's blocked, it bounces off them, and they never think about it ever again the rest of their life, unless someone forces it on them, and then it has to bounce off again. They don't care what that means. They don't know what that means. They'll say you're mystical, right in the middle of despising Messiah's words or this scripture or that scripture, because they're desperately needing worship from people. It's a sick, mad world that the only thing they care about is themselves, to be worshipped and looked as mighty and godly and good and strong. So what? So it can get more worship. And if you get more worship, you can make more money. And anyone that makes money, anyone that uses his word and makes money off of it, they're wicked. They have nothing to do with the Father, because a believer could never and will never do that, has never done that as a believer. They would put that away and see what evil that is. Judas only does things for silver, for money. Kill, steal, and destroy for his own carnal gain. What does it get him? Destruction for himself. And the false prophets that do that are hanged spiritually, and their guts are spilling out. The inward parts are coming out, meaning that inside their spirit, the inward parts of the person, the real things, are destroyed and flowing out. They're dead. They're living dead. They're zombies. Let the dead bury the dead. Because dead people bury dead people. They can only do dead works and dead things. They have nothing to do with life and light and liberty. When they hear liberty, it's sin. When they hear liberty, it's freedom to sin. Because the mind is darkened and it's evil. So it sees liberty, it sees evil. Sees freedom, it sees evil. Sees jealousy, it sees evil. Sees repentance, it's evil. There is no good there's no good jealousy, there's no good hatred or perfect hatred, there's no good anything. They only see evil. To the impure, all things are impure, and to the pure, all things are pure. Yeah, that's spiritual fact. It's happening every day. To the impure, all things are impure. Even if it's good that they see, actual good, it's impure to them. Every time, every day, every second. At no point is the good thing pure to them. That's what that means. So when they see a good work that's from above, that's impure and darkness to them. Every single time, every day, everywhere, all the time, without failure, ever, not even one failure. Because the devil hates good. Because darkness hates light. When it sees light, it'll count it for darkness because it's in darkness. It's prideful and insecure. Whatever it is, it must be that you are. And it will put what it is onto someone else, regardless of the evidence, regardless if it sees good works. It will count it for wicked because it's wicked. And the dead can only make dead, and the slavery can only want others in slavery. Not a single soul that's in slavery to sin wants from their heart others to be free because they're in slavery. They don't know what it is to be freed from sin. They never have it. They never had it. They don't have it. They don't understand it. It's those in actual slavery to sin, in reality, in their mind and heart, their spirit is in prison. They can only want, because that's all they understand, others to be in prison with them, in slavery to sin. They don't have the good thing. What this looks like spiritually, physically manifested, is someone behind prison bars and watching someone roam free. And that person fills up with what? Cain kills Abel, envy. He kills him because of envy. No other reason. I mean, there's other connections, but it's because of envy and pride and evil. Because his offering is accepted. What does that look like spiritually? It doesn't look like a literal prison. It's a spiritual prison. But if you were to manifest it, it looks like a prison. It looks like someone in it is raging because someone's free. Why don't they do good? Then they would be free. But they don't want to go do good. They don't want to go through the narrow way. They want that good thing over there by doing evil. And then they think the one that's in freedom from outside of this prison, they think what? That person didn't need to actually go through the narrow way and obey and go through tribulation and do all the Father's will to have that. They don't care or understand that. So they envy what they don't have. If I don't have it, roar. I'm a beast. I'm a lion and a dog. And my God is dog because dog is God and God is dog. And everyone's God is dog in this world because Satan's a beast. How obvious is it? The folly's manifested before the whole world. Everyone's God is God, which is just dog, a beast, backwards. You know, satanic is always backwards, the backwards thing spiritually. Even literally manifested backwards. Write it backwards because that's, you know, the enemy. Backwards. Reverse it. How is it that God is dog and dog is God? Because their God is a beast. It's the serpent beast. While someone believes they believe in the Creator, their God is the devil, and his works they will do, just like Messiah said to the religious Christians and leaders. You say that you know this Creator, this Elohim, the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, but you don't know him. Your God, your Elohim is the devil, and his works you will do. And they want to seize him. Why? Because it's true. What do they want to do when you give truth to anybody? They want to seize you. But they can't do that if there's people around. They can't just kill you and put a knife in you, but they did in their heart. They want to do that. They would if they could. A little unleashing of the beast, and they would. Yes, it doesn't matter, family. None of that matters, because that's not the real family. That's only good unless the spiritual family is the reality. The lower thing doesn't prove anything by itself. It doesn't mean anything blood physically. What does it have to do with the heart? Nothing. What does it have to do if someone has a sister or a brother? What does that prove? Nothing, because it's flesh. They'll hate Messiah's people just as much as anyone else, without partiality. They hate, even though they're partial. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that relatives, every family's broken. And what they call broken, people out there are going around saying that everyone's blessed. This is the end of the prophecy. All nations are blessed because they love evil. And the kingdoms of evil is their heaven on earth. Wickedness and death is their life and good. Literally, in their heart. That's how backwards, blind, and stupid they are. They teach that the resurrection's already happened, the age to come has already come, and that these kingdoms, as they are now, everyone's saved. Or not saved, but everyone's already, received the gift. Everyone's already, whatever they say with their words and their deception. All nations are blessed. All nations believe. All receive the free gift. And they are so lunatic out of their mind that they'll say those words and even say the devil's been destroyed, literally destroyed, as if that's the understanding. Flesh, proving that they don't believe Messiah's words. Flesh profit nothing. When they teach, the devil's literally destroyed. A flesh, literal understanding. When they teach that, it proves utterly that in their heart they don't believe the flesh profits nothing and don't know what it means, because they got doctrine that proves the exact opposite of what that means. The flesh is everything. Now the devil's destroyed, and some prideful, steaming man with a suit says, yep, the devil's destroyed. And they go out and destroy and deceive people. That's their mission. They're missionaries for the devil. That's what they do. That's their heart's intentions and desire. And if they could hang all Messiah's people and put them on a stake, they would. But to us, they already do that, because that's the real thing. The spiritual murder is the real thing. They've already done that. Cain already killed Abel trillions of times from that time forward. Cain kills Abel by murdering someone with their heart, not killing them literally. That is real murder. It's not murder to the devil, because the devil does murder. That's the only thing he does. He calls it good. And to an enemy, actual murder is good. To an enemy, actual lies are good. To an enemy, deception is good. Real, actual spiritual deception is good. They create the deception as an image. This is what deception is. An image, which isn't real. That's deception to them, to hide that they're really deceiving and love deceiving. It's the Wizard of Oz. It creates a big voice, a big image. You break through that image, it's the weak little coward that's destroyed like everyone else that projected the image of the beast. That's what Wizard of Oz is. And people, think it's just some kind of cartoon? They don't know what's going on. Don't they know what this means? That this is actually in line with Scripture and the image of the beast? That it's a huge actual truth right through the darkness being shown. That everyone does this. They project an image now with Facebook. They project an image now with this or that they're doing very good and mighty, and they're destroyed with it, and they're liars. They couldn't say they're doing horrible a day in their life because that looks bad. It's not good for their pride. And the Father resists the proud. They base everything off of pride. They live off of pride. Every move, every thought, every decision, every choice is based off of pride. That's it. That's their life. They don't know what pride is when every single work is based off of pride. And to see this, it's like seeing a tree with bad fruit on it. It's that easy for me to see. And people act like we're the blind ones, like we don't know what we're talking about. They do that. All of them do it the same way, same works. They're so prideful, proving the pride that they're denying, that they cannot see all this obvious things that we're seeing. It's painfully obvious. It's so prideful with the devil smirk, with that angry little look, that devil look, the devil smirk. It's steaming there, sitting with pride, knowing that it's wicked. It's been caught. It's been spotted for a monster and a beast. It needs to dump all that evil on you to hide that that's what it is. That's what its works are, from 0 to 70, from 0 to 90, for 0 to 120 if someone lives that long. It's going to be revealed that that's what they were, what we said they were, what mankind is, that the Father shows his people what man is, wicked. It's going to be revealed to all, before all. And those that want to be first, they'll be slaves to all. They'll be the ones bowing in slavery to all because they wanted to be first. You want to be first and you want people to serve you. You want to be a slave driver and control people. You're going to be a slave of all, Messiah is saying. You do that with your heart. That's what's going to happen in the age to come. It's going to be reversed hardcore perfectly. The Creator's going to do this magnificent thing that will work out good, but doesn't matter. This is still coming though for them. The last shall be first and the first last. Those last are those that are low, scum, that serve people. They don't get above and want to control in their heart, because Messiah didn't come to be served. He came to serve. What don't they understand about that? They do works when they get behind their pulpit. They're already controlling people and not serving them. But their image they create looks like they serve them. They think that image no one can see through. They think there's not a single soul. They don't think the Creator could see through that image. They think they're wise while they're smoking in torment. The evil that they do is stupid and is easily seen by the Father, what they're doing in their heart and why they're doing it. Nobody's there, says the heart. Nobody sees what I do, says the heart. Nobody sees me, says the heart, the self. The Creator doesn't see me, says the heart, and nobody else does, says the heart. I'm going to keep doing evil and gain off of it. In reality, the world's lying and all it can do is lie. When it hears truth, it's in disbelief and cannot believe it. If you reverse this thing perfectly, 180, everyone in the world tells the truth and they only tell the truth. They don't know what lying is. They can only speak truth. And then when man's heart is the same, this reality is just as bad as the lie. Because now, you speak truth, which is good, but it's like you're doing evil still. So if people were just to speak truth, they would say, you're fat, you're ugly, I hate you. If no one's speaking truth, they're hiding it constantly. They don't know what lying is. You threaten me. You threaten me. I need to do something about that. Goes inside the mind, but then it talks. And then the other person talks. And they're both lying to each other. When the devil gets things right, it's pretty bad. When the devil gets something right, it's pretty bad. Yeah, when the devil figures something out and has more light than the children of the light, it's pretty bad. In this world where everything is flipped and everyone tells the truth, now someone thinks of a lie and they came up with a lie. And they could just lie their way to riches. I'll just lie. And you get carnal benefit and reward. There is an incentive. There's evil incentive in the devil's kingdom. Lying and murdering gets you higher. Sacrifice of the wicked gets you higher, whether spiritual or literal. It's both wicked. If the physical's wicked, so is the spiritual sacrifice of the wicked. There's all kinds of ways you could sacrifice for the devil. It's at someone else's expense, not self-sacrifice. Someone else needs to go down for you to go up in the devil's damnable kingdom. That's what the wicked sacrifice is. That's why the Father says that the sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination. Who cares? No one, not in this world. That's good to them. That real thing is good to them. But we're devils. We don't tell anyone. We put up the finger, hush symbol. Say, shh, we're devils. We hide truth. That's our job. Our father Satan says so, and we do it blindly. Zombies of the dead, the living dead. The world didn't create that truth. That is the Father's truth. The living dead. They're physically alive, but they're dead. They're dead within. They don't match that physical life. Inside is rotten and dead. They're in destruction, so they have to project an image that they're doing good all the time. They can't be what they are. They're cowardly and afraid of truth for saying it as it is. It doesn't matter what it is, because everyone's already lying 24/7. Even when they tell the truth, they lie, because even through that truth, it was made sure in someone's mind that everything benefited them. And if everything benefits them and there's no pressure on my image, then I could sort of say the truth every once in a while. That was a lie, because someone only told the truth if it went through all those categories and situations where it benefits you. If it didn't, even a little bit, they would lie. So even when they tell the truth, they lie. Nobody tells the truth in this damnable world. Zero, none. The devil doesn't tell truth. They don't believe Messiah's word that he only comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Someone can say the grass is green because it benefits them and there's no pressure that they know of on their image poking. Then they can say the grass is green. And they'll swear by it just as much as the lie they swear by. There's no difference between the truth and the lie. It's all lies. Yes, when they speak truth, they don't actually speak truth. When they speak carnal truth, they lie. Because the only reason someone, once again, is speaking some kind of carnal truth is because they made sure it benefits them first. And it's not hurting them in any way that they know of. If it does, you lie. If it makes you look bad, you lie. I heard this is addicting. Yeah, it's addicting. And someone's like falls back on the floor because you tell the truth. I'm using an example. So always lying, constantly lying. Those who love and practice lies are outside, outside of spiritual Jerusalem. They're outside of the kingdom right now, and they will be to come. They're not going to just fly and enter the kingdom from doing evil all their life and enter the kingdom now. That's wicked on the Creator's part. Oh, they could do evil and never overcome a single sin all their life, and then they fall into the kingdom. Yeah, a devil taught that. A devil taught that you could do evil all your life, and then boom, you drop into the kingdom. You're saved. No, you're going into destruction. The very destruction the apostle talks about, all his word talks about, Messiah speaks about. It's always been there. They're in destruction and they're going to it. And they're in captivity and they're going to it. Those that are in captivity, they lead others to captivity and they're going in it. The spiritual prison they're in will be manifested, and they'll be in a literal prison. It'll be manifested. They don't believe they're in prison. That's what I mean. No deceiver believes they're in prison, even though their whole reality proves that. They don't believe they're in a spiritual prison. They're gonna believe they're in a prison because it's going to be manifested. Nobody believes that they knock and they're excluded. They're God. God never is excluded. They're gonna believe they knock and they'll be excluded because they won't be in it. And the first will be last, and the last will be first. And those that are first in their heart, they want to be first through the evil way, through pride, controlling people, ruling over people. They'll be last, and they'll be a slave of all. They'll be a slave to all. That's their reward right now, to be a slave to all in the future. And to be in destruction now and deceive now. That's their reward. A bunch of blinding and deception and destruction is their reward now and to come, and to be a slave to all to come, and there's nothing they can do about it. Is that what they want? No, they want the good thing by not going through the narrow way, though. So they try the false way, the wide gate, which is pride, lifting up instead of being lifted up by the Creator. You find a way for self through pride to lift up, which is always evil, which is always murder, which is always I'm better than everyone else. That's all it is. You step on everyone to raise yourself up. Doesn't the world say that word? Don't they say those words? Yeah, they say it out of hypocrisy without understanding of what it means, and they don't believe that they themselves are that. They say that out of not believing that they're that. And the unbelieving, the religious people, if they can find a little splinter on you, this is how their carnal mind works. Then they dump a whole entire yoke on you, heavy burden and heavy yoke. If they find a little splinter on you at any point, past, present, or future, just one splinter, oh, you're wicked. Aren't they talking about themselves? No, they never talk about themselves, I guess, ever in their mind, but in reality, they speak of themselves perfectly. I read, don't have mercy for those that do evil. Put them to death. We don't have to do that because the Father's the righteous judge. Someone that does wicked works from the heart, those are the devil's works, and they're dead. I don't have to put them to death. How is that manifested in the natural kingdom before spiritual things were given or understood, before Messiah was even born? It was manifested through the flesh, the natural, which has its problems, which reveals the flesh and carnality of man and its problems. Because man wants to put others to death. It exposes them as wicked. You can't wait to put two or three witnesses together to watch someone die. That's what it reveals, the natural thing, but it means something spiritually, the heavenly thing, where the Father and Messiah are witnesses, and there is no evil going on like this by them, by the Creator and Messiah. That was the natural thing. And then the natural way, as long as no one sees you sin, there's no witnesses. There's a problem with that. Exposing man's mind. When no one sees him, in his mind, he believes he's doing good, that he didn't do any bad because no one saw me. So you could commit all the murder and adultery you want as long as no one sees you in carnal man's mind. But in the kingdom of heaven now, you so much as murder someone even a little with your heart, you're judged for it. You're blinded. Delusions are sent. Blindings, judgments, evil is sent as proper righteous judgments that only the Father knows is sent. And you can't get away with a single thought or intention in reality, each one being recorded and watched and written down. It might as well be written down in a book. That's how sure it is. Every little detail is being written down. Now, I don't know of any devil that cares about that. They don't even believe that's happening because they don't believe in the Creator. In reality, they believe in the God they created, the golden calf. There's no one with this magnificent power above them. That's abomination to them. They don't bow the knee to anybody except themselves. That's what carnal man is. Now let's see, how do we put together a smooth word, smooth lies, where we please all, and that's our intention, to please all. Every week, twice a week. And then all the people clap their hands because the false prophet wanted them to feel good, to please them and give them pleasure. I read that those that love pleasure will be poor. How come they're doing that to them, giving them pleasure, wanting them to have pleasure? Riches, lust, carnal goods to seek out for pleasure. Yeah, get away. We don't give a shit. Anyways, back to sowing seed of goodness and righteousness and having as much riches as you want. That's what God wants you to do. That's what their heart is. Get out of here with murder. Get the hell out of here with murder. Then they continue on their delusion. It's so sick. The heart is truly sick. Mankind is sick. The carnal man is sick. And Messiah pukes when he sees something that tries to even remotely look good, that's lukewarm. Because their image that's being created is making it look like they're doing something. They only understand carnal things and image, and then that image is not real. And Messiah pukes. Better to be cold or hot than this thing you're creating, religion, lukewarm, creating images that make you look good, but in reality, you do evil and love evil, love money and love the world and all the things in it. They don't actually believe that you came naked and you go out naked. They don't believe that in their heart. That's why the Egyptians bury things with them. They don't believe that. Desperately wicked. Even if you don't bury something, you don't believe that. The unbeliever doesn't believe that in his heart because that's truth. That's torment. It needs to get that out of its mind and think for today how it can screw more people and make more money. That's what it's thinking of right now, this minute. And it's thinking about that for tomorrow. Tomorrow will be better today than today, and we'll party tomorrow more than today. That's what it's thinking. It's thinking about, in the meantime, I'll have a few orgies, cheat on my wife while I'm some kind of preacher man, some strong man, the greatest man of all, the most radical, as it calls itself that, teaching people to sin. The devil in disguise, masquerading as a messenger of light. That's the reality we live in. But it's a lot more comfortable, right? In a delusion, comfortable lies. That's a trick and a lie. It's not comfortable. They got a world of hurt to come. It's not comfortable now, and it's not comfortable to come. It's not going to be comfortable when every single lawless deed in the heart is revealed. That's trillions of thoughts and intentions and murderings in the heart over a life of 80 years. Every single one of them will be revealed. Who believes it? No one, save a few. Who pretends to believe it? Many. Yeah, they pretend. Saying out of delusion, out of cowardness, things to make it look strong. That's the only reason someone says something. When it's to make it look strong, it doesn't care about the actual truth and reality of it. It only said something so that it looks strong. That was its intention, using it like a whore for its own benefit and pleasure, spiritually speaking. Something like raping someone or using someone, prostitute, just using it for your own pleasure. You don't give a crap about them. They don't care. Just use someone, which means you make them sin more and you sin yourself for your own pleasure. That's what they do spiritually in the harlot houses, because they spiritually fornicate. They commit spiritual fornication, like they can read over and over again the scripture again and again. What do the many called do over and over and over again? Spiritual fornication, breaking the covenant. That's what they do with their heart. And the spiritual things aren't real to carnal people, but they're real to the Father, and they are actually real. They're not real to the blind. That's why they're called blind. They don't see anything real. They only see fake and only want fake. And it's going in a direction that's going to be more fake tomorrow than it is today. And soon money itself, it's already fake, but it's going to be more fake 2 years from now than it is today. It's just going to be a thought, just some digital thing, some idea. Oh, click a button and you ruin someone's life. You cancel their life by clicking a button. Because that would be the perfect backwards thing of what money naturally is. Something physical, something that has value that you can see and touch. Now it's got to be the perfect opposite at the end. That's what money is. It's just invisible. It doesn't mean anything. So you can control more people like that. Because you can't control people as much when everyone has physical money. The person taking money loves money. They're gonna accept most of the customers that want to pay. But now in this digital world, it doesn't matter. It's not people's power or control. It's people above them that control them and get to make all the calls for them. All they have to do soon is just click a button. Well, they could do that right now, actually. Click a couple buttons and your life is canceled if all your savings are in the bank. But it's going to get worse than what it is now. Sick. I don't know how many more years are left. Just a handful. few before destruction comes on all this wickedness that the wicked don't believe in because they actually in their heart love the wickedness. It's not evil to them. They secretly love it while they project an image that they hate it by going to church. And it's been going on since Adam and Eve, since the beginning of creation. This is nothing new. And what man has done before, he doesn't see or learn. He forgets utterly. And he will do it again, plainly written in Ecclesiastes. Just because of that truth alone, destruction's coming. Just because of those few true words alone, destruction's coming. Because man never learns his lesson. The Father's not going to be proven wrong. Nations fell. How many nations fell? Countless nations. It's going to fall again. And at the end, the strongest nation maybe in all of history, with more power than any other nation in history, falls the quickest. That's what the Father will do. It'll fall in one day. It's over. The biggest, mightiest nation in nations in all of history, falling quicker than nations 100 times weaker than it long ago. Falling even quicker. That's going to be man's strength and folly poured out. While in his mind he says, I sit like a queen, I sit as a widow. No one can hurt me. I won't see death and destruction. I won't see any sorrow. Sorrow's coming, and they'll be eating their babies just like they did 2,000 years ago to stay alive. Isn't that the prophecy? It's already happened over and over and over again, not just one time. It's going to happen again. The people will eat their own babies, some of them, to stay alive in a sick, cruel world where nobody actually cares about you, but only pretends to care, and that counts for something. But in reality, it's all destruction and not real. But to someone in delusion, the delusion is real to them. That's why it's a delusion. Sodom and Gomorrah, just thank the Creator of the heavens and earth that he's not going to just let it be like this forever. A new heavens and a new earth where righteousness dwell. Well, for some, they openly say that this is the righteousness that was to come. It now is. Wickedness is righteous to them. How can't people see that? That's why they teach these doctrines, because their heart actually believes wickedness is good. Or is the Creator a liar when he says they call good evil and evil good? What does that mean? Not with images, with the heart, what it actually believes in the heart. Spiritual, real things. It calls good evil and evil good. Not with images. With images all day long, it tries to prove that's a lie. Rapists go to prison. Evil is evil, good is good. Not speaking of a delusion or image, but man's heart, the first thing, the heavenly thing, the real thing, the above thing. That's where they say good is evil and evil is good. Real things, heavenly things, spiritual things, the higher heavenly things, which is way above the earth. But for a carnal man, the earth is above the heavens. It's literally backwards. It's out of sight, the heavenly things. Carnal things are the good heavenly things to a carnal man. Blessings, like the blind, keep pumping out, and anyone that wants to see it openly and a lot in entertainment, in Hollywood, stars of this world, they say it all the time, that they're blessed. They went through about 1,000 women, 1,000 drugs, 1,000 murderings, 1,000 rapings. And then they come on TV behind a camera saying, I'm blessed. God blessed me with a lot and I'm blessed. They need to keep their mouth shut because they don't know what blessings are. They think that all of that is blessing. That proves that they're devils because they believe carnal, worthless things are blessings. They believe money and fame is blessings. Yeah, to a devil, that's blessings. The sinners seek all these things, Messiah says. The Gentiles, the sinners, seek all these things with their heart. His people need to seek the kingdom of heaven with their heart. The sinners, those of the enemy, seek the worldly things with their heart. The Gentiles seek after it. They ask and want those things. That's all they can see and care about. So to a carnal person, when they call physical possessions, worship, and money blessings, it's over. They're carnal. That's the discernment. A spiritual person can never say that or believe that in their heart or see that in their heart. Not just about saying words. And you can see people actually believe that that's a blessing to them. Yes, rich man with a mansion on a hill, nice place, gives a tip to someone, just dumps a bunch of money on someone, and they're in utter destruction. The only reason they gave money and a bunch of money to someone is because of sin debt and sin guilt, and because they want to take some of that sin burden that's on them and dump them on someone by giving them money. They didn't actually give right there. They gave sin. They did evil right in that moment. They didn't give. That's not giving to the Father. How come the blind can't see that? They only see the image, which is my hand stretches out to yours, and I do charities and I give you a lot. And then they create the image. That's the image of the beast, looking something like the true, but it's only doing that because it's doing wickedness, to hide that it's doing wickedness. That's why it gives money out of its abundance, never, ever bothering them. They make sure it doesn't bother them. Let me see, is it going to hurt me? No, it's not going to hurt me. Yeah, give them $1,000. And then people going on YouTube giving $100 bills away and showing off about it. It was just 100. Yeah, I'm a gangster. Give them $100. They're wicked. This is the last generation, the prophecy of the last generation of the last days. It's more wicked now than it ever was. Through all of social media and entertainment and technology, it's way more wicked than it ever was because it magnifies the sin. They're going out there thinking they're good and godly and mighty and strong, just giving money away and making a big deal about it with millions of views, showing off about how much they give. And the only reason they're giving in reality is because they're in destruction and blind and in delusion. Could they believe that? If they heard those words about them, what would they say? They would lose it. They'd want to kill you because it's true. You don't get angry for something unless it's true. Why would someone explode in rage if it has nothing to do with the truth? And if someone is of the truth, they shouldn't really care at all about some damnable image and what people think of them. But that's what the devil says. He always says, I don't care what people think about me. They never live it. They do care. They always cared and always will care. They just lie right through their teeth from their heart. They care very much about what their image and what people think about them. Their whole life is revolving around that. Every decision is revolved around caring what people think of you if you do that decision. Then they say, like a fool that they are, I don't care what people think of me. Yes, they do. Liars. That's all they care about. While they say the exact opposite lie, that's all they care about. That's the only thing on their mind is what people think of them constantly. That's all that's on their mind. They've never done anything else. And then they say, I don't care what people think about me. Yes, they do. And when they pretend not to, they're only pretending not to make it look like what they say is true. The whole thing's a delusion and a lie and a masquerade. It's delusions and fakery upon fakery. That's what it is in reality. Someone in delusion will never agree or see it because then they're going to be exposed that they do these things. They don't want to be exposed. They're not going to run to the Creator and say, I'm naked. They're going to run to the trees like my Father says they do, all of them, and try to cover their wickedness and sins with their own hands, that they worked with their hands to cover them. They do things with their hands spiritually to create images and coverings to hide from Him. That's why they do what they do every day. It's why they do the job they do, to hide and cover sin. That's it. And then they think they gave themselves all these things. That's how prideful and blind mankind is, as if the clay actually does something for itself, as if it forms itself. They don't believe the scripture. They don't actually believe that man is the clay in reality. And what does clay do? Can they ever deny that clay molds itself? Does it mold itself? No. Do they believe that? No. They're liars. They never believe that scripture and what it actually means a day in their life, ever. They never will unless mercy is shown to them. They're blind. Whole world's blind. It's under the sway of the wicked one. They don't believe that. What's some minister doing right now? He's thinking about money, sex, more power, more worship. That's all that's on his mind. He's never thought of anything else since his youth. But if I say some cheap words and create an image, that makes it true. That makes it true all of a sudden, doesn't it? Because I'm God, because of what I say, it's automatically true, regardless of if it's actually true in the heart. Because God says so, it is, as if he's the creator. Because I said this is why judgment came on you, it is, period. Even if it's not. God said so. Man said so. I judge so. I'm God, the man of sin in the throne room that I read of, that I don't believe, that I pretend to believe and hide the truth and suppress it. Don't believe what it actually means. I lie to everyone and everything. If they could get money from lying to a fly, they would. If they could get money from lying to a worm, literally, they would. And now they're selling pet rocks. Now they're selling pet rocks, a way to make money by pretending a rock is some kind of pet. What does the Creator see? My goodness, what on earth does he see? How does he not just vaporize everything? It's crazy, crazy evil. Every single second someone breathes, they do evil. Then they wonder why they're in destruction. Then they wonder why they're not doing so good. Then they wonder why they're in anxiety and depression continually. Then they wonder why their buddy that was famous on YouTube said you could do anything. You could conquer the world, whatever you put your mind to. And then they overdose or kill themselves next week. They wonder why that happens. Because they live a delusion. Because every word they said wasn't true. Every word was a lie. Speaking of spiritual things in the heart, not saying right words. Yeah, the devil says right words carnally all the time. Doesn't believe it, doesn't understand it. Craftily using scripture like we have examples of. Real sneakily, that makes it look like it's doing some kind of good or right, and people buy it. That's what the crafty devil is. Snake. And Messiah calls people right to their face, devils, snakes, and hypocrite. Now, what if some false believer was called that by someone today, right now? What if they did what Messiah did and it was a righteous, true judgment and it was true? What would they think of that person calling them a snake, devil, and hypocrite? They'd want to murder them. That's why they murdered him. But they think it's different if a believer ever does that and it's true and they destroy many. If a believer does what Messiah does even once, what would they do? They'd want to kill him. I wonder why they killed him. Do they actually believe that someone loved him or something? Where does it say in the scripture that people loved Messiah? They all wanted him dead, the whole world. Because everyone's wicked, of the devil, literally, of the wicked one. They all killed him. It's insane the image they projected, that people love this Jesus, that people love his word. No, they don't. They viciously hate him. They're literal snakes spiritually. They're devils, literally, spiritually. And they hate the true Messiah with vicious vengeance and hatred. And if someone could see the actual works of this hatred, they would see the literal works that prove what we read. And then it's true, absolutely true, utterly true. Because the works prove it every day, every single day that goes by. It's being proved. What is that? That's a serious delusion. Sick. makes you spiritually sweat, choke, and puke. Nobody's real. Nobody's speaking truth. No one cares that that's going on. As long as they get some kind of self-gain and a false comfort in delusion, it's okay. Who cares? Selling a bunch of lies, preying off people. If the blind people saw why the false prophet that rule over them, what they're really doing, they'd be a little angry about it. But obviously they're blind and don't want to see that. They don't want to see truth. They will go out of their way to not want to see truth, to want to skip it. I don't want to see that. No, no. Don't tell me that. I'm God. I can't be in delusion. I wasn't created by an actual creator. I'm God. And I want to live in the delusion that I'm in. That was given to me by my creator. That proves there's a creator. But not for me. It doesn't prove anything. Because the one in delusion can't see anything that's true. It's just a matter of time before a devil does some serious evil to a believer. If it looks like they like him a little bit, give it a couple more days. Give it a few more days before they utterly murder him. That's all I've ever seen. That's all I've ever seen. Give it a little more time. He'll do evil. I'm not worried about it. I know it's coming, period. And it always does. Every single time. They just pretend to like you just to try to get close to you so they can destroy you. That's why they want to be your friend. That's why they want to get close to you. A snake wants to get close to you so it can break your neck and choke you out and bite you, kill you. That's why it wants to get close. Snakes don't get close because they love someone. Sick to even remotely think that's true. That a snake gets close to someone because they want to love them. Every time a venomous snake gets close to someone, it wants to kill them. It wants to kill that which is alive. Swallow it up, and it's pretty nasty how it swallows life whole. If it can fit in its mouth, it's going in. Digest the whole life whole. That's what it wants. It wants to steal someone's life. Swallow you whole. It's pretty sick. If someone could see the sickness of the spiritual reality of that physical picture, that physical picture is pretty gross, isn't it? Pretty sick. What if you could see the spiritual reality of it? What it really means. It's something like that sickness physically, literally, but spiritually, it's sick like that. That's the picture. There's no other picture. How do you paint a picture of something spiritual? That's the picture. A snake swallowing life. It's gross. It's vicious. It's evil. It's cruel. It has zero care. It's got snake eyes. All it can think is destruction and murder and killing. Stealing and destroying. That's all it is. A snake, it can't do any other work. It's not a sheep. Snakes can't do sheep works because it's not a sheep. A wolf can't do sheep works because it's a wolf. It can't do anything different than who and what it truly is. A wolf inside, a beast, monster, a lion, a roaring lion. Yeah, the devil's like a roaring lion seeking someone to devour. Just some devil up there. It has nothing to do with humanity. That all of humanity that's under the sway of the wicked one is that, a roaring lion seeking someone to devour. How do you kill someone in this world? You have to project an image that's good so you can do the evil to them. So that when you do the evil, this world saw good, but you destroyed someone. You destroyed someone. Someone destroys someone, but they casted an image that's good so that they aren't seen for what they really did. So they hide and cover what they really did. Am I going insane? Sometimes I feel like I am going insane. How couldn't someone understand any of this? Like they think it crazy. Anytime I speak, it's just vicious evil coming this way. Just say a couple words of truth and right away they get angry and walk away and raging. And you can't do it. There's no one you can speak to in reality, in the real world. just a couple words out of a calm, out of truth, care, love, and boom, everyone's raging. They only care about looking good. If you get loud inside the house, it gets a little loud. They're worried about it getting a little loud. That's stop it. My image is looking bad. So then even, parents, it's like, don't they show it? Man, what don't they show in the movies? That the parent cares about what the kid does because it reflects on their image. That's not love. That looks like you care about the kid, but it's only making sure your image looks good. I want you to do this. How many times does that do? And then the kid rages because there's sin going on there. And the kid has some truth. Says, this is my life, not yours. And you're like controlling me because they want a certain image to be reflected off of them. That's it, first and foremost. And I'm seeing this in reality, in real life. That's what it's been. In reality, it's what it's always been now, seeing it over time more and more. And the more I see, the sicker I get. That's not actually caring about someone and for their own good. It's making sure your image looks good. That's the priority first. And that's it. Everything else is way below that, that's nothing. And it's kind of sad. It's a very strong delusion when someone says, I love you, but then they do evil to you. What is that? How do you believe that what they say? I love you, but secretly I'm trying to sneak in evil towards you. Is that real? And then what if you don't believe because of the works that someone says they love you? Now you're wicked. Now you're viciously evil for not believing someone. If I believed it, I would believe a lie. They want us to believe lies. And I know that's why Messiah says, if I said what you say, he's going back and forth with the religious leaders. If I said what you want me to say, I'd be lying. He's saying, like, basically, do you want me to lie? It's what you want. And they never bring it up in the church world, what's going on. That, what was it, yesterday? Thanksgiving, it ended up being miserable like I knew it was going to be. I didn't want to be there, but I went there anyways. What are you going to do? No thankfulness at all. I don't see it. No care at all. I don't see it. No love at all. I don't see it. And, the questions people have in their mind, what are you saying? That everyone's evil? Did they read something else? It's like they never believe those words in scripture that no one is good, not even one. They don't want to face the reality of that for themselves. That's the problem. That no one's good. And the Father proves that his people, they're no good of themselves. He proves that to them. And that's the only way to life, to truth, is also seeing that self is no good of self. There is no other way. Every other way is trying to make self stay alive and good, which is death. And then they think we do evil for what? Wanting death? It's going to look like that. We've been set up to be trapped by this world to look bad, for the image to be trashed. Did you see what he did? Did you see what he said? Because it sounds like something. And it's like they can't see your heart at all. They don't care about that. It's what did you sound like? What did you look like? That's all that matters. Just walk by yourself somewhere. That's like the best thing to do most of the time. Get away from everyone and just walk alone with the creator. That's it. And everyone else is like out to get you. through these secret dark works that no one can acknowledge they're doing. So then they make us look like we're insane. That's their goal, because they do them secretly. They don't openly do it most of the time. I mean, it happens when someone goes crazy and does some kind of literal murder or raping, but most of the time, most people aren't doing that physical work all the time. They're doing it secretly. And the Father gives the heart to see what these things are, that murder is real murder. They don't see murder. We see murder. If that murder is real spiritually, that person hates you. It doesn't matter what they make it look like. They hate you. Their whole being hates you. It's amazing. They don't see that. If the murder is in the heart, in the heavenly places, the higher places, there is nothing else. The other thing is the lower thing, just an image, just looks like something. It's a shell. It's not real. It's only good if the looking good is only good if it's actually real inside. Then it matches that. But if you see that they hate you with their heart, they viciously hate you. They could care less if you die. They want you to go away. There is no other hate. What other hate is there? Well, they sound good, they look good around you, pretend to love you, and therefore that counts. It doesn't count for those that are seeing truth. It doesn't count. Oops, I dropped my hat. I usually don't wear anything on my head, but who cares? It's not about some hat. It's about why the heart did something. That's it. I can't find people in this world that see that. You know, the last job I had, the big shot, one of the managers with a little more power in the job, he'd go around people and like saying, what do you need? What do you need? What can I get for you? And it makes it look like they care. I met that guy after they drove me out sometime months later. Still didn't have any job. I got there early before somebody I knew came and visited that, used to live here and was visiting, and we just, he would bring his kids, but I got there early by a little river and just started walking early by myself. And he jogs right up to me. And there's nobody else there except us. That's it. The very guy from the last job. It's like, and these things happen where it's not some stupid coincidence. What did he do? He wanted me to touch him. Can you put my phone in this pocket right here? They want you to deck them in the face so they can say you're evil. Then after you do that, then, hey, do you want to, I'll leave you my number. You can call and try to get that job back. I never called because I knew it was fake. They want you to toy. They want to toy with you. They want you to beg and call, and then they can go, like little kids. He never meant that. And as he started jogging away, another cover. He didn't say it because he cares. I'm saying what I saw in my heart spiritually. That is not an image that people would see. But in the heart, what's going on in someone's heart? Hey, you look good, man. You look good. I said, you look good too. And, that was it. He looked at me with this vicious disgust, slowly turned around away and started jogging again. Pure murder and hatred. It's a miracle that he just didn't stick a knife in, but they can't do whatever they want. If the Father says, no, you shall not stick a knife in him, it's not happening, period. And instead, his people walk through the land, and then I'll put fear in those people. And they fear them for some weird reason, the Israelites, the judgment. Why are they fearing? It's weird. And they fear Messiah. The soldiers fall back just because he's not afraid. He says, here I am, take me. Why didn't you get me earlier? Don't they know what he's saying? That he's mocking the idea of free will as man understands it. Why didn't you get me early? Why didn't you grab me when you could earlier? Because it wasn't his time. They couldn't do it. Whatever is not the Father's time, you can't do. And this is real. This has to do with real life and reality. But they don't believe that in this world. The actual sovereignty of the Father and his power. That man can't just do whatever he wants according to his own will. This is all being worked out by the Father. And so we read a few different times that they tried to grab him, but he escaped because it wasn't his time. But when it was his time, the Father's time, now they gab. Why didn't you get me earlier? They don't see what he's saying. They don't care. It's like a righteous little mockery, out of a good heart, out of truth, which something an evil man can't see. It's going to be evil to him to do that kind of mockery. And the soldiers fall backwards because the power of this Father's Spirit is in Messiah, and he's not faking anything. It's real. What mankind projects with an image, he actually has. That's real. And they don't. They're empty. They're afraid inside, but they have to cover it. And they fall backwards because he's not afraid. It's not about falling backwards, but that really does drive the picture home where it's like, oh, they're fearful. Why are they fearful? They're the ones ready to grab him. They're the ones heavily armored, not him. And they fall backwards. Pretty shameful. I've seen this happen. That's why it means something to me, because I see the reality of it, and it's amazing. Without trying to do that, I just seen afterwards that that's what happened. In someone's heart, they fell backwards. They're shaking inside. For what? It's not like Messiah was going to slash them up and kill them. And they're still afraid. They're afraid of the Creator. That's what it is. It's in there somewhere, hiding, afraid. Told some person once. Said, I said something about the judgment. And they froze. And they couldn't do anything. They just froze. And I didn't intend that. I'm thinking in my mind. I said whatever I said afterwards, and then I walked away. What was that? It was that. And then, the Father gives you scripture to match what happened somewhere. This is what this means, see? And it's not about falling backwards to me, but the same thing happened. Why? Because, when the false prophet speaks, he doesn't believe anything. He doesn't have the Father's Spirit. He doesn't know what he's talking about, doesn't care. When Messiah speaks, he's not speaking out of delusion. He has the Father's Spirit, and he knows what he's talking about, and he believes what he's saying. Now, that's all the difference so often, because an unbeliever hears some false prophet, and they clap their hands, and we could say the exact same words, and all of a sudden there's fear and rage, and there's not much on the outside that was said any different. I've seen this thing, and I believe he's shown me what it is, to some degree, because the false prophet's not real, because he doesn't care, doesn't believe what he even says. There's no power in him. Not that man has power, but there's no power from above in him, from the Father in him at all. So what he says is empty and void, which is what people want. They don't want anything that's good, true, rich, full of, good, strength, power, true. They want something empty and void without even fully realizing that they want empty and void. They don't realize it. Obviously, if man knew what he was doing, he wouldn't be seeking destruction. But, we see man going out of his way to destroy himself, but that's not what's in the mind of someone destroying themselves. We have to see that. If it was, they might think twice about what they're doing. It's like he goes out of his way to destroy himself. It's like he finds scenarios where he can find and pick a fight and destroy others and destroy himself. He runs to evil and not away from it. His feet are quick to run to evil. So if we don't see that happen physically with an image, therefore the Father's word is not true. No. His heart, his intentions run to evil, which could look like different things on the outside, but that's not the main thing. It's that his heart is like seeking destruction, evil, without even fully realizing it, because he thinks evil is good. It's like someone lost in whatever they're lost in. They're going to do more of it, thinking it's going to fix the problem because it feels good. I'll do more of it. That should fix the problem. And mankind's tricked when it's actually, yeah, it's pain either way. But if I don't do this carnal thing, that's painful. I can't live like that. See, he's in pretty bad shape without belief in the Father, without anything good. He'll never do the good thing because there's no reward in his mind to do good. It's not even his fault that that's true. It just is true. And then after all that, some anger on what people are doing, it comes back to they don't know what they do. Yeah, but they still do it. You can't get through to them. They resist bitterly. The door's shut. It's like you're knocking and it's locked and shut, doesn't open. It's something like knocking and it will be open. Yeah, what is that? Knocking with the heart and it'll be open. Well, they must not be doing it. There must be some kind of delusion going on if they don't know the Father. They're not truly knocking. Because if they really did, they would receive. That's true. They would receive. Something so simple, and like mankind just will not do it. Seek the Creator with all the heart. It's, seems simple enough, and he just won't do it. Doesn't know how. It's a weird, strange thing. But I know it's true because I know I couldn't do it. Just didn't even cross someone's mind. What are you talking about? There's no belief. Whoever's listening right now must be insane. In a good way, I guess, but insane to this world. But we do read something about that, about being perceived as insane, like it's actually necessary to go in that direction. Because if it's not going in that direction, it's actually a problem, but you wouldn't want to do anything to make that true, because that's false intentions. It just, if you do what's right, it will come. If someone does what's right, the world will perceive more and more, what they thought of Messiah. It'll go in that direction more and more. You're just some crazy bum. They got to find something on you. Look at his clothes, look at his hair, look at his this. And it's like, that's like being desperately wicked, Been picked apart for chocolate, for a little bar of chocolate, been picked apart for it. In someone's mind, proven as evil, doing evil. Unbelievable. Of course, they ignore the scriptures that say, eat as much as you like, right? They don't understand what the feasting really is, what it represents and what it means to your heart's desire. Not out of carnality, but it's going to sound carnal to someone when we read those words. The Father's not like some cold, cruel, you do these religious practices for false intentions, not out of actual good intentions with benefit or real power from above, but now I won't eat meat. Now I won't eat this. Now I won't eat that. And this makes you have some kind of false religion and humility that the apostle talks about, and it has no power for the indulgence of the flesh. It's doing that outside of the Father's will that's bad, not even necessarily the physical thing people do. But so often it depends whether the heart's intention is right, whether the physical thing is good or evil. But it can kind of sound like, sometimes maybe we read and it sounds like, well, fasting is evil. It can sound like that because the understanding is not about the real thing, it's about the fake evil thing that needs to be seen. Although there is an evil way to fast, though. That's for self. Look at me, I'm sick, I'm lonely, I'm struggling because I'm fasting, the Pharisees. And making their faces look disfigured. If you fast for that reason, that's not good anymore. That's the teaching. So what is that? Well, it depends on why someone's doing something with their heart. If you're doing it for self-gain, that's the exact opposite of the meaning of fasting. For other people's gain and your own starvation, so you help others more. Not for everyone to come to you and say, look how holy and righteous he is. Oh, poor guy. It is kind of pathetic. That's what we read there for a reason. When we read in there Isaiah somewhere, like the Father despises the fasting, it kind of sounds like maybe it's against his own word. No, it's what the people believe and think it means that he despises, not what it really is and what it means. And we read that. And I've never heard those scriptures, like, not in my church world that I grew up in, or even others. I don't see that scripture very much or hear of it. Maybe it's because they don't want to, read and expose themselves, because it is pretty direct about these, evil fasting that's just for self, like attention, worship, gain, pity. And I found out that pride goes hand in hand with pity, amazingly, because pride doesn't actually lift up in reality. It's the evil way, the fake thing. So there's always pity too, and insecurity. It's weak in reality. It's real messed up and mixed up. Sometimes hard to see the difference between the two, the real thing and the fake thing. That's how good the masquerade is. Who believes that, like, all mankind is constantly doing it? It's torment to believe and see that, because it's so massive. It would just flood people. Like, they don't want to see it, they can't handle it. And it would flood us too, with an overflowing flood, because we read, I have a lot to show you, but you cannot bear it right now. No, you can't. You literally can't. But the man goes, try me. Try me, God. Try me, Creator. Try me, Messiah. And then it comes on him and he dies in like a split second. Boom, he's dead. He's like smiling in pride. Try me. He's dead. It's over. Jumps off a bridge because of all the torment and can't handle it. Just dies. It would just blow up. What he doesn't understand, he thinks he can take on, but he doesn't literally understand that it's pretty bad, the things that he has to see and learn. And if he had it dumped all at once, it would be unbearable. So then I'm thinking, Messiah's life, as he's teaching, it has nothing to do with what someone thinks in some kind of delusion. I mean, no reality at all. He loves sinners and they have no clue what's going on. Don't they know that that's nothing but evil came his way constantly and he has to love his enemies constantly in reality and not sin? Do they know what it means that he didn't sin? How crazy this is? Because to start learning what sin is, he didn't even conceive one murderous thought and fulfill it in his heart even once. It's pretty stunning to me. It's some serious power, the Father working in him, and a sacrifice for all mankind, and a perfect example at the same time of the perfect way and the perfect thing, working out a bunch of different things all at once, and yet very real. There's nothing that he didn't want to do. He says, I lay it down myself. No one makes me. See, that's a contradiction to someone that, like, they think we're stupid when you say, oh, no free will. But then it kind of sounds like when we read certain, that's like free will. They're not understanding. It's like how all his word is. It's always looking like that without the understanding. It looks like it's fighting itself. Two understandings and contradicting when it's not. How does he do it? Perfectly, where he's sovereign and yet what someone wants is real. It's not being forced in an evil forcing kind of way. How does he do that? I don't know. He does it. The fake thing is that stupid evil thing. That is what's fake. Someone says what, or they might ask certain questions. No, the Father's not this because you hear this phrase and then you automatically assume a bunch of other things that are not true. And that's adding to his word spiritually. What's not there. Or taking away from his word. And another example is you could walk away if you want. What's the answer to this? Maybe it's the Father's love is too good. No one would walk away from it. Is that forcing in some kind of evil way? How could it be? Because actual love doesn't force. It just loves. That's it. It's not fake. It's real. And if something's so good that it makes you want to do good back, how is that evil? And it's not forcing and it's not fake. And yet he's sovereign. Why does the Father have this love? I don't know. How on earth can little man figure that out? Just agreeing and seeing that's real and knowing that's true. But why? That's like maybe starting to go beyond what's written. I don't know. I have asked that question. Why is that even true? Why is that true? Why isn't he a monster like Christianity and this world always taught? Like the exact opposite, tortures people forever. Monster, vicious, cruel, and brutal in reality with the intentions of the heart. People don't, people like mysteries in a package where it has nothing to do with being a mystery to you. But when it comes to real mysteries where we don't know something for sure or understand it, people don't want to go there. Isn't that why? That's the real mystery, not in a delusion, not in a movie. There's mysteries. I don't know. And maybe over time he gives some of them to some people and maybe some to others and some not to them. And, but we do have a teaching, if someone knows all mysteries and don't have love, it's worthless. Does that make all these other things no good? No, it's just true that if you have all that and don't have love, it's no good. It's nothing else added to it or taken away. It's just true. It's like that example on the end of John. What's going to happen to that man? What's going to happen to that man? If I will that he remains till I come, what's it to you? It doesn't assume a bunch of other things. That's not who the Father is, but mankind's heart is already messed up. playing these games. He puts that onto his word and already assumes that's what's going on, and it's not. So then it says the brethren say, the saying went out that this disciple would not die. What do we read? But Messiah didn't say he wouldn't die, and then it repeats what he already said first. But just that, if I will till he remains, what's it to you? It's like giving the answer without giving the answer. For anyone that can see, repeating the same thing sometimes is the answer, even though it's no different than the first time you said it. But a bunch of things would be added to his word there and assumed that's not. He never said that the man would not die. He never actually said, I will do this. He said, if I will till he remain till I come, what's it to you? If I actually did this huge thing, which would seem unfair to the disciple asking, what's it to you anyways, even if I did do that? Oh, that's like torment to someone. That's not who he is it? That's not who he is it? Yeah, it is. You follow me. If I do this thing to him, what's it to you? Well, look how big it is. It's unimaginable. He just stays alive for like 2,000 years till the Messiah comes. If I did that, what's it to you still? He's not joking. If he really did that, what's it to you? And people use this to prove Messiah, the resurrection is crazy. Father just gave me this thing not too long ago to really see some of it. It's not even talking. He's not talking about that at all. It's bringing out a certain sin, and they never talk about the sin. They use it to prove that the resurrection already happened. You start seeing these things, you might start going a little crazy. Seeing people lie like that. Totally blind. Who did they hear from what it means? They don't understand what's happening because they don't care, the people that lie constantly. They got a business, they got other alternative motives and intentions to run, not actually caring about what's happening, what the truth is, what it means. And it's amazing to me, still right now in my mind, that he's actually just bringing out a certain sin of nosiness and like comparing with others. What's it to you? You follow me. And what about the prodigal son coming back, and now the believer that's already with the Father is envious? How come you're doing this with him? Because he was lost. And now we're going to celebrate that he's not lost, that he's found. But you're not doing, you're right by the Father. Do you lack something? No. And the prodigal son parable is teaching the one that's with the Father needs chastising further because he's getting envious of a believer, another believer. And it's connected to, what's it to you if I come? It's connected to that sin inside, envy, curious in a bad way, in comparing. And if I'm not as much as this person, well, it must mean the Father hates me or some kind of nonsense, Some stuff goes off in someone's mind. So then in reality, those that gather more, they didn't have too much, and those that gathered less, they didn't have too little, isn't actually believed, is it? In reality, if you're doing one thing, how can you believe that and like agree with that and live that? If you're comparing and nosy, what about him? What about him? If he remains till he comes, wow, what about him? Then you're not actually living that scripture there where some are given, they collect a little more, some collect a little less. They didn't have too much, they didn't have too little. And that brings out a whole nother thing. Brings out some other sin, brings out some other judgment, brings out a bunch of other things just because it exists. Makes you sweat to overcome some of these things. It makes you sweat inside. when the proper time is seeing that you're not actually overcoming it perfectly and now you need to, then it makes you sweat. You haven't resisted sin to like with tears, the apostle said. Have you resisted, like, is that what I read? Sin with like tears, with blood, like some serious heavy trials and resisting that you need to face, that it does have to get really difficult and that bad. And then what happens? Well, the Father's sovereign. See how some truth could be used for evil. Good doctrine could be used for evil. So the Father's sovereign. He doesn't do anything. He already knows all things, and then you use it to throw down someone, to say that you can continue to sin. That's not who he is. So many deceptions, man. So clever. Where someone could use, I don't need to, I pray without ceasing, like I read. I don't fold my hands and pray and do that, kind of mock that, even though it's not about folding literal hands. But nevertheless, I pray without ceasing by just agreeing to doctrine, that I keep my mind on certain things. And because I say I do, it's true. And then that person doesn't actually pray in reality. And when they're asked if they do, they lose it. They go crazy because they were trying to hide it. You think you know someone after a whole year and you don't. Don't they say that? Don't people say that? Husband says to wife, wife about husband, I thought I know after 15 years. How come he couldn't see? Obvious things too, even. Because we need the Father's sight to see. Because through pride and sin, we're going to be blinded specifically so we don't see. So how does someone know that they see properly when it's not about physical eyes seeing things? What is it that someone didn't see about their wife or about their husband, or this example or that example? What is it that they didn't see? It's a spiritual thing they didn't see, obviously. Not necessarily, not physical alone by itself. That's pretty disturbing to wake up in that reality that, yeah, you're that blind. You got taken. Face it. Acknowledge it. And then reminded that the disciples had to go through it. They didn't know. Messiah knew, but they didn't know. They found out later that he was a deceiver, crept in unnoticed, Judas. They didn't know. And then you read those words and go, wow, in reality, it didn't happen any different. And it couldn't have happened any other way. 10,000 times over, this is how it happened, just like I read. It might make someone want to punch through a wall when they see the reality that they're not God. But in their heart, they kind of, they always believe that, though. Just the more breaking down. He's in control. Peter, you're going to deny me, period. I don't care what you say. No, I won't. Because he says, no, I won't, does it make it true just because he said so? No. And then he's reminded and it happens. And then he's sad. And he couldn't do any other way. And the reality right now in 2021 is no different. What I read there is true. We'll not deny you. We'll fight for you. We'll do this for you. We'll never deny. And they all did. For a time to learn their lesson. That because what they say, it doesn't make it true out of pride. Because I say so, it's going to come true. No, if it's the Father's will. That's the reality. The delusion is my will, because I say so. And the problem with this in this world is the Father will so often allow it to come true so that they believe their own lie, that they're strong in God. That's never going to be a judgment to them. That's going to be proof to them that they put their mind to something and did it because they said they would. That might make someone sweat to see why that's happening and they can't see why. Therefore, they will never believe you. That he actually gives people what they want so often so that they believe the lie, that they think that's them doing everything. He has to give you some of that to come true so that they believe a lie for a judgment, so that they believe a lie that becomes true. And if that's the truth, then them doing something because they said so is no reality. It's a judgment. It's a delusion. If that's true, that's a delusion. Even though it's happening, even though someone gets what they want, the only reason they got it is because so it's a judgment, so that they believe that they got it because they said they got it. I know it can sound a little confusing, but it's really not. Where is that happening? How do you know how much that's happening to the neighbor or from the other guy at the street behind the counter? How do you know what judgments are going on? Just that this exists, but how do you know where and how much and who? You know, it's like to play the creator. You don't know what he knows. We'll be more free in the age to come than any other time before. And that has nothing to do with freedom from the creator himself. With, you know, that has nothing to do with free will rebellion. And yet I say, I know it's true in my heart. We'll be more free than ever before because there's no law against good. Do whatever you want out of good, you know, seeing this. And that's like already what's true now in part of something that's to come, this freedom. It has nothing to do with license to sin. It's freedom from that cage of needing to do evil, to cover more evil and all this death. It's like already coming true over time, growing until it's utterly true. It's like a sheep getting out of a cage and jumping around freely. It's not, because of one thing, it doesn't automatically imply a bunch of other things like license to sin. No. And yet this freedom is true. This liberty is true. The darkened mind sees those words and sees liberty and sees darkness through it, puts darkness on it and teaches darkness for this liberty. Nasty. They can't see the good thing. That thing's nasty to them. And that's like how everything's being done to the pure, all things are pure, to the impure, all things are impure. It's like one or the other. It's going in this direction or that, no middle. Either this or that. To the light or to the utter darkness. To life or to death. It is amazing to start saying to the impure, all things are impure. This is shocking. Because when they see good works, they will accuse it of evil in their heart, which is stunning. And when we see evil, we're just seeing good out of it. Not because the darkness is good, but because it starts becoming true to the pure, all things are pure. I don't see perversion. I'm not saying it's perfected, but like it's becoming perfected. Like I don't see perversion in this anymore, or that, or this, or that. And someone else, they look at it and there's perversion in their mind. It's a reality, not just words. I think I'm going to end right here. I'm like getting literally hot. And so much time passes by every time, like it never feels like it's 2 or 3 hours. I think I got some kind of, let me see here. Okay, I got a comment 1 hour ago that says, "Oh, dude, you are an obnoxious, self-righteous nut." News good one. This isn't just all that ever. It's amazing. It's amazing. oh man, dude, you are a religious, obnoxious, self-righteous nut. When someone uses that word religious, I already know they see nothing. But how are they going to, their works prove that they are that themselves. It's not them that see. They only speak out of the delusion and darkness in their mind. Not on whatever they don't understand. They just attack it instead of wanting to understand it. They compare what they hear with everything else they've heard all their life and automatically assume they're hearing the same thing because they say some same words. Amazing. That's not righteous judgment. It's not rightly dividing, discerning between what's good and evil, what's true and a lie. What do you do with that? It's all that comes this way in reality, whether it's in real life or through, comments, even though there's not many, which I'm glad there's not many. I'd be afraid if there was like a ton. So what's going on over there? That must be like real pleasing to people what they hear if there's many. Because I know reality truth isn't like pleasing, it hurts. When they say that truth hurts, when it comes time to face this truth, and all of a sudden it's like the people that say that, they like don't believe it, do they? It's like so tunnel vision when someone does works like that. They hear something that they don't like that strikes true and is attacking them. Then they just like go into full on attack mode. There's nothing else in their mind except to attack. And that's an attack. You religious, obnoxious, self-righteous nut. It's just another attack. Oh, you're one of those Jesus freaks. They already assume all their life they heard about Jesus. And then like if you say anything, they take what they've heard and think they know and then just dump it on you. Oh, you're one of those freaks. Uh, okay. What are you going to do? Try to convince them? Please, please believe me. No, I'm not. Like time for that to die. It needs to die, literally. Like you can't, to try to make people like everyone agree with what you're saying is a sin. That means you're doing something very wrong constantly. Although this needs to be perfected too. Why does someone need to be believed so badly? Unless they're, doing exactly what the Father teaches, protecting the image of the beast and only caring about the image. If they knew what this world was, evil, lies, then those that are speaking truth in this world can only expect to get trashed. You should expect it. Not that we would love it, want it, like please, but it's just going to be true. But then it's true even in delusion because people are attacking each other everywhere. So that it would be just one more attack that's like all the others, and everyone's doing that. It's amazing to me that anyone says they have friends, because I haven't seen real friendship in the devil. It just takes one small little thing for betrayal and wrath and hatred and murder, and boom, it's like over. It's like as long as someone's scratching your back and they're, kind of doing the same back, using each other, then we can be friends. This world loves the image that's selfless. It makes people cry. But when it comes to reality, they hate the truth. They like that image that they'll cry over. Has anyone else noticed? And then it's like 10 minutes later, they're doing some severe evil right after crying because of the image of selflessness. That has nothing to do with reality. They're watching pixels. Do they actually do what that is in their heart? And this is a sore vanity to see this too. Because it's like none of it's real. It's like you start not wanting what's not real, just what's real only. And the Father's real. He doesn't even have any fake at all, zero. No fakery. Messiah, no fakery. not fake. Doesn't play games, doesn't do evil. Although the judgment, it's for even each one to find out and learn why this or that judgment happened. But Father doesn't play sick games. It's a judgment, a righteous judgment for our own good, to work out some kind of good. While someone does something, they got what they deserve. If he didn't punish it or correct it, then he wouldn't be a loving father. He wouldn't care. And you know what happens when someone doesn't care and let their kids run wild? They're in destruction. We have the physical, literal proof of the lower earthly thing of not caring at all, just letting your kids run wild, never correcting them ever. We know what happens. How much more is it true than the Creator doing this? The correction is care, although it could be seen wrongly on our part, but you need to figure out that it's not what we think it is when blaming him or something, blaming someone else. And it's a little shameful after he works out something good. It's like, oh, that was like a crying little baby. Shameful. It's like not much different. That's what I see. Then you have to overcome. Am I going to do good when I actually don't know? Or am I going to do good only when I know good is coming first? It's a big difference right there. That's difficult. It's like, that needs to be corrected. Now that everything's okay, now I'll do good. Now I'll forgive someone. Does anyone know anything about this? These are real things inside the heart I'm trying to bring out that believers are supposed to care about and do regardless of the situation, not waiting till they get some benefit first. Then they can forgive. Tricking our own selves that was forgiveness. Then another test comes. And there's no forgiveness because something that we wanted didn't happen. That means the first time it wasn't real forgiveness. Because if we forgave only because something happened first, that wasn't actual literal forgiveness out of the heart with no other intention. And it's difficult. It's difficult in reality to face that self is not doing right, not able to do right, good. So you just admit it to the Father, and that's it. You admit it, what's real. Now, as long as someone justifies what they do, they'll never, with their heart, admit to the Creator this is what they are and they need help with it because they found a way to justify. They don't need to admit anything. That's a delusion. That's a lie. They'll never grow. They'll never know. As long as someone does that. That is true. We could say that. As long as someone does those works, in reality, they'll never learn and grow. There was this thing that had to see that just because the Father's sovereign, you're still accountable somehow. What you do matters. Everything you say and do matters. You could hurt someone. And just because, I'm elect, and because of the doctrine of elect, evil is being done because of these things, used evilly, and that's not who he is. Somehow he's sovereign while everything we do still matters and it, affects people. It's like, it's all real. You have to actually care, actually repent, actually make sure you're doing this or that, or making sure you care about this or that. It's not something where you just say some cheap words and because you said it, it's true. Because I say I'm saved or whatever, and then boom, it's over. He starts destroying that false thing that was made, already there first, and it starts dying. It gets destroyed. The leaven comes out. That was already there. That needs to come out. The false like belief that the Father's like not real or something. I don't know how else to say it. But everything in this world's not real. I don't even, after some time, I don't even know how people do it. I don't get it. I guess that's just what being set apart and changed is over time. Like you can't, your heart, if your the heart's changing, you won't understand how you do the evil thing. But you get it, but you don't get it. You know why it's being done, but you don't get it. Like how do you, because of understanding, because of care, because of change, because of actual love from above, you can't understand how you do this. Because of all these understandings, this is evil. How do you do that? But they don't understand why it's evil. So then that's not on someone's mind. In fact, the good thing is evil to them. I think that's all I got. Please take care. Seek truth from above.